that what we start to hear then is the process of rationalization. And rationalization, in simple terms, is convincing ourselves that something is okay when in fact it isn't okay. I think that attorney that I mentioned that had themselves placed in a will, the rationalization was nobody loves this lady like we love her. We have birthday parties for her. We have pizza parties. We are her family. That's a nice rationalization. But there's a little problem of being written in the will that conflicts with that. So some of the things we might hear that sound an awful lot like rationalization, and I've heard all of these. She wasn't there for me when I needed her, when I was growing up, so therefore, I can act in an abusive manner. What goes around comes around. The second one, they don't know the difference anyway. It really doesn't matter what you feed this person. They don't know the difference anyway. He's always stating he needs help. He's just trying to get attention. He can just wait till I have more time this weekend. This one, he likes it when I'm a little rough. I had a family member explain that one to me. He kind of likes that. When he was in the military when he was younger, likes it when I'm a little rough. This fine one, they'll never be able to spend all their money anyway, so what does it matter if I take some? Can't take it with you, right? Rationalization. And the one I mentioned earlier, she doesn't wear her jewelry anymore anyway, so I can take that. Bam.
I just had a question. Where do you see a line between family dynamics that have been ongoing for years, you know, the children were raised that way, and then these examples of rationalization? Because it seems to me like there's kind of different categories.
Right. It's, you know, it's tough because in a funny way there isn't much of a line. So you're going to hear one of the speakers today talk about violent families and families with long-standing patterns of abusive behaviors towards each other. The dynamic that changes as people age, of course, is that they lose the capacity to sort of respond in any way, shape, or form, and so it becomes less fair. And it wasn't that it wasn't abusive before, but it becomes so imbalanced, it requires help from an outside system, ideally. And it is tough because we're not going to change long-standing family patterns, but as professionals we can start to recognize some of this and even begin to educate people that there is another way of being and doing things. Personalization is something else that comes up, and one of the things about taking things personally is we lose our capacity to be helpful. And sometimes that's called simply getting hooked. And I've certainly known when I've been hooked in my life and know that I have to step away or I can't help anybody. And so personalization, we'll start to hear phrases like this: nobody's going to talk to me that way. I don't have to take that crap. Till she stops using foul language, I'm not going to help her. He's being difficult just to get under my skin. What he needs someone to show him who's really in charge. And probably my favorite, it's just being manipulative. They've always been manipulative. And you know, what I think about manipulation, it's a term that's tossed around a lot with older adults that are experiencing decline in difficult behaviors. What I would say about that is every person in this room is manipulative. I'm manipulative. We have to be manipulative to negotiate our environment in this world. If we didn't find ways to manipulate our world and our environment, hopefully in healthy ways, we won't be able to survive. Manipulate means, how do I get what I need from the world and others? So when we think about manipulation as just an attempt to get one's needs met. I've often met with people that were described as manipulative, older adults, and I look at their setting and I think, okay, so they're homebound, they can't go out when they want to, they have no social relationships, they only eat when someone gives them food, they only are able to take care of their hygiene when someone assists them. And I think manipulative, boy, yeah, they've sure outsmarted the system, haven't they? Look where it's got them. So I've always thought, I'll believe someone's manipulative if they're sitting on top of a hill somewhere and orchestrating people left and right, and they've got a wonderful quality of life, and they've been able to get what they want, do what they want, when they want it. I might listen to that story, but otherwise, manipulation is simply a process whereby people try to get their needs met in a healthy way. So as we think about the way that defenses kick in to rationalize and describe behaviors as okay that really aren't okay, it kind of leaves us with this. So what do we do? And we're left with this notion of prevention. And prevention is simply educating others and trying to create as many resources for others as we can, and asking the right questions. And especially letting get down the guard that says, these people that are committing elder abuse, they're all bad people. They're all criminals, and none of them are like any of us. And accepting, you know what, anyone in here could carry out elder abuse. Hopefully you never will. But if you don't, it's probably because you're able to keep these concepts top of mind and identify these warning signs. Catch ourselves saying, you know, when I hear myself saying, you know what, I am so tired of him, he's just taking advantage of me. When I start hearing those words, start going, okay, all right, I'm taking this pretty personally, I need a break, I need to step back, I need to get someone else involved. To become identifiers of these defensive processes gives us choice about how we want to respond. And it's the same with family and friends that are in these caregiving roles. Just a brief word about the healthcare system. The healthcare system historically has not helped how we view older adults. And I've certainly talked about earlier the experience of visiting the healthcare system with older adults and have them not talked to, have them not spoken to, have them get a plan of care that nobody understands, medications that can't really be filled by anybody, and then discharged. It's tough. It's a tough system, and it sets people up for failure if there isn't help in that system. And again, this whole concept, when to seek help, when do we get people to seek help, whether it's family members, friends, older adults themselves. And the idea is before we hit this tipping point where abuse can occur. And what's the impact of all of this? We certainly know when people are run down, by now it's pretty well established there's a strong connection between how we feel and our health, between how an older adult feels and his or her health. And we know these things, that the worse we feel, the more likely we are to experience a decline in health. And the better we feel, the stronger our immune system and the immune system of those that we care for. And here's another medical slide, not sure why it's there, but it brings me to my last slide. And the last slide is really just this, it's a picture of a pie of one model of looking at positive and healthy aging. Positive aging is really about having all of these needs, having needs met in each of these areas, often in compensatory ways, but so that holistically we feel good in life and in this world. We know patterns of abuse for older adults and for many caregivers erodes many of the pieces of this pie and prevents abuse from happening, or causes abuse to happen. And so I guess just touching again on the one dynamic of how we view older adults in our society, we really have great opportunities as educators to again see individuals, to again help others see older adults as individuals, not as grandma or grandpa or those old people or those sick people. And the better we're able to help society see individuals, the less likely the pattern of abuse is to occur. And I think that brings me right